All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping into what I think is one of the most important chapters in the whole Yoga Flow Teacher Training Manual, Chapter 4. This is a big one, because this is where it all shifts, where your practice stops being just for you and starts being for everyone else.
So let's get right into it. Think about this. You've got your Warrior 2 down pat. Your alignment, perfect. You know your own body like the back of your hand. But, and this is the huge but for every new teacher, how in the world do you take all that personal knowledge and use it to guide a whole room of people? We're talking totally different bodies, different histories, different limits. How do you keep them all safe? That is the big question Chapter 4 is all about answering.
And look, answering that question, it's not just about learning new tricks. It requires a total shift in how you think. Your yoga mat, it's not just your personal sanctuary anymore. The second you step up to teach, you're accepting a huge responsibility. People are literally trusting you with their bodies. It's a major leap, from just your own practice to earning public trust.
So to help you make that leap confidently, Chapter 4 gives you something super practical. It's not just a bunch of abstract ideas. It's an essential toolkit. Seriously, think of it that way. Every single thing we're going to talk about is a tool you can put in your belt to become a guide who's not just responsible, but truly confident.
All right, so if we've got this toolkit, what's the very first thing we pull out? The one tool that everything else depends on? Well, it's got to be safety. And I'm not just talking about a box you tick off. This is the foundation, the absolute can't-do-without-it bedrock of good, ethical teaching, period.
And the number one rule of this safety-first mindset is consent. This is so important. It completely changes the dynamic. It's not about you, the all-knowing teacher, swooping in to fix someone. No, it's about creating a partnership. When you actually ask for permission before you give a physical adjustment, you're giving your students power. You're respecting them. And that's how you build a classroom where people actually feel safe and trusted.
The chapter really gets into the nitty-gritty here. You've got things like contraindications, which is just a fancy word for knowing why someone shouldn't do a pose. You know, like if they have high blood pressure, a deep inversion is probably not a great idea. It also talks about using brand-neutral techniques, which is key. It means you're teaching based on how the human body actually works, not just what one style of yoga says. And honestly, all this knowledge, it's not just about keeping your students safe. It's about protecting yourself, too, as a professional.
Okay, so once we've got that safety foundation laid, what's the next tool we grab from our kit? It's props. And we really need to change how we think about props. They are not a crutch. They are not a sign that you're bad at yoga. Nope. Think of them as your teaching partners. They're these incredible, intelligent tools that can make the practice better for literally everyone in your class. And what's so cool about props is that they can do two totally different things. On one side, they offer support, right? They can make a tough pose feel way more accessible, help someone feel stable, and even prevent injuries. You know, like using a block and triangle pose to bring the floor up to you. But then you can flick that around. That same block can be used to deepen a pose. You could squeeze it between your thighs in bridge pose to really fire up your inner thighs. See? They're not just for beginners. They're for exploration. Super dynamic.
Now, this leads us to what might be the trickiest, most personal tool in the whole chapter, the hands-on assist. And the manual is really clear about this. An assist is not a correction. It's not about fixing someone. It's an art. It's a way to communicate without words, to connect, and to guide someone's own awareness using a supportive, smart touch.
But even though it's an art, there's a science to it. There's a process. It starts with just observing. You have to have a clear reason. Why am I even thinking about assisting here? Then, step 2, and we can't say this enough, you ask for consent. You have to get a clear yes. Only after that do you come in with a touch that's firm, confident, and has a purpose, a direction, and it's not a monologue. The final step is all about listening, watching their breath, their body language, and being ready to adapt. It's a dialogue, a real conversation through touch.
So you see how these pieces all fit together? Safety, props, and assists, they're not separate ideas you just learn and check off a list. No way. They're all woven together to create this amazing teaching toolkit. And this toolkit is what's going to give you that genuine confidence to stand up there and really lead a class.
Let's actually picture it. At the very bottom, you've got safety and consent. That's the foundation. You can't build anything without it. Then you've got intelligent prop use. Think of that as the extender. It literally extends what's possible for every single student. And then on top, you have hands-on assists. That's the connection. It's how you make that personal, direct guidance happen. And you can see each part needs the others to work.
And that, right there, is the whole point of Chapter 4. When you really master these skills, it's like building a bridge. It takes you from being a student, a practitioner, to being a teacher, a guide. It's what makes that transformation from someone who just does yoga to someone who can confidently, safely, and effectively guide others.
So I want to leave you with this one final thought. Chapter 4 gives you the how. It hands you the tools. But the why you teach and the who you are as a teacher, well, that's all on you. So as you get into this chapter with this toolkit ready to go, the real question you have to ask yourself is, what kind of guide will you become?